Welcome to episode 39 of the Monsters of Geek podcast. This is your editor-in-chief, Aaron, and with me this evening on this prestigious panel that we have. You don't know how many offers I've had to buy Monsters of Geek, for dimes, just rolls of dimes. We have Daniel here with us today, making his triumphant return. What's up, Daniel?
Hey, man, it's good to be back.
Good.
I feel like it's been about a month, so it's good to be back.
Yeah. Joe, what's up, man? Joe Yeti here.
What's going on, brother?
And, of course, our world heavyweight champion, Daniel, just got him out of a intergalactic tournament just to be here today. That's why we have a attorney on retainer, our world champion, Jared. What's up, man?
Hey, it's just good I didn't have to give all that money back.
I know he's an awesome lawyer, man. You know? I mean, after I took all those dimes, he got me out of it. So, you know. All right, guys.
Your dimes compared to Jared's galactoids are nothing.
Is that the currency you got? Galactoids?
Galactoids, the space currency.
All right. Where did you come up with that, Joe?
My brain.
Your brain. Well, we'll not discuss your brain because that's a trip I don't want to take.
It came fresh hot out the kitchen in Joe Collier's oven in his brain.
Not right. It doesn't rhyme, man.
I wrote the rhyme, homie.
All right, guys. Man, it's been a while since Daniel's been on. Of course, me. You'll if you're listening to this, you know that me, Jared, and Joe actually recorded a wrestling podcast to put out for WrestleMania. I believe we're going to start doing that at least once, maybe twice a month, just to give us some extra content to put out there. Daniel, you haven't been here for a while. I mean, obviously the audience loves me, Jared, and Joe. That's why they tune in. We let you on here, we'll kind of drag you along and try to, as I told you before, try to put you over, try to get you, when we can't headline the main event, we have to have somebody we can put over to make some money, and it's working out.
You got to have mid-quarter, right?
Yeah. What'd you say?
You got to have somebody in the mid-card, right?
Right. We need that upper mid-card guy that we can always hold down, but just enough to make a little bit of money with, and then kind of hold him down.
Like a Virgil,
man. Am I the Dolph Ziggler of the group? Is that what I
am? I'm going Virgil.
Joe Virgil was never even near the mid card.
Hey, he held the $1 million belt, baby.
Yes, the imaginary title. It didn't matter.
That means that Daniel's the $1 million man.
How do we always get into wrestling talk? Every time, all the time. Daniel, what have you been up to? Hurry before Joe talks.
Oh, not much, man. Finally started Mass Effect. Of course, it came out last week. We talked about it a little bit before the podcast, but it's getting a lot of hate online. People not happy with the animations and just the game itself. But I'm not far enough in it to have an impression. So maybe the next time we talk, I'll be able to talk a little bit about it. But I'm less than 5 hours in, so I'm nowhere near to a point where I could actually give an opinion on if it's good or not.
Gotcha. So, I mean, as far as, was you worried when you saw the reviews? Because I don't think I saw a really glowing review of it.
Not really. I mean, it's a game that I'm going to play no matter what. I knew I would, and, I know that the animations have gotten a lot of flack online, but, the animations for BioWare have never really been great. I mean, they've been using the same animation engine, or at least it seems like,
So, I mean, as far as that seems to be like the only for a lot of people is like, hey, I'm already invested in Mass Effect. Do you think they made a Mass Effect game just to kind of appease the fans? Because apparently this isn't winning anybody over. Like, I haven't heard anybody say, hey, this is your first Mass Effect game. Definitely check it out, type of thing, even though it kind of reboots the whole story as far as what Mass Effect is. I hear more people like, you need to go back and play the first, at least the last two and three at the very least. Do you think they was just like, hey, we just kind of need to get a Mass Effect game before everybody forgets about it? Or it kind of – because a lot of the older fans are like, I'm invested. I'll play Mass Effect no matter what. But I don't hear a lot of people like, oh, this is my first Mass Effect game. I can't really wait for the next one to be out, type of thing.
That's true. I mean, that could be the reason. I mean, it's been a long time since Mass Effect 3 came out. So I guess the only thing that concerned me is that, they got so much goodwill when they did last Dragon Age game.
Right.
The position was so well received. I feel like they've lost some of it now. With Mass Effect, that's not gotten very good reviews.
Yeah. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that was head of the first trilogy isn't there anymore, right? If I'm not mistaken.
That may be right. I mean, I know that they've lost a lot of their original group is not there anymore, but I'm not sure who's there and who's not.
Yeah, I mean, when I want to be, I would never play the Mass Effect games. But when I saw the stuff that they did at, I guess at E3 when they did demo, I can't remember where that was at, but they released the demo stuff, and I thought it looked really good. I thought, man, I might actually try to go into this, and then the reviews were just, the review it didn't really. Yeah. From what I've read, I was like, I'm not. I'm glad I'm not on this hype train because I've got too much stuff going on as it is. So, yeah. All right, Joe, what have you been up to, man?
Basketball.
Just basketball.
And I played some For Honor today.
Oh yeah, you've been playing For Honor a lot. That game seems interesting. Like, what do you think about it so far?
It's a great hack and slash game, and it's not. I mean, the combat system is pretty cool because you got like other people who I guess are heroes or whatever they call them, and like you have to lock into them, and you can like parry their moves, and you have to wait for your chance to hit them. Because if you just run in against them, you're gonna die. I mean, there's no way of beating them if you just run in because they're the same, like power wise as you are, pretty much. So that's pretty cool. It keeps it kind of level, like playing level field, even playing field. And then of course you still have the other like little soldiers that they run around. That if you're in a big group, you can just destroy. But it's fun.
Now, as far as like this is kind of been built as like a multiplayer game. Is it fun in single player as well? Or is it just more?
Yeah. No, it's fun in single player as well. I haven't even played any multiplayer yet. I've been trying to, play single player to get better, but I like it so far. I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, the guy that comes by and actually he works for the Bug Company. He's a big gamer, so we talk about it every so often. But he plays like Destiny and For Honor. And I'm like, hey, he's like, hey, what are you playing? I was like, oh yeah, I'm playing I Am Setsuna right now, and he just kind of looks at me really weird, because he doesn't play I Am Setsuna apparently. But from Joe, you said it's a hack and slash game, but you also say it's like a little bit more of a strategy game as far as you can't just go in there, swing a sword around and chop people limbs off. Is it more? It almost sounds like from the reviews, it's more of like I guess a fighting game to a certain extent. Like it can, okay. So I mean, hack and slash to me has a totally different connotation.
Well, no, I mean it's got hack and slash tendencies. If I don't know, like I said, I haven't played multiplayer, but on the single player, like you have, like these big, like I don't know how to describe, like hero type people who are the same that like have the same abilities that you have, the powerful stuff like that. And you have to go in and you have to really be strategic to beat them.
Is it kind of like a Dynasty Warriors?
Yeah, yeah. Because you always in Dynasty Warriors you had always had those people that have like the same type of set that you have, same abilities. They have powerful, and then you have just a little like ants that you can just destroy in like 3 or 4 hits. So I mean, it's
wait. You fight ants in this game?
Yeah. but I mean, it's a hack and slash. It's strategy, and I would even say it's a fighting game as well.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, when you say hack and slash, I think I don't know, like trying to think. Now I say, it does sound like hack and slash. Now I can't name one. Something like an old school, like old school arcade game, kind of like the old Dungeons and Dragons games in arcade and stuff. That's kind of a hack and slash type of game. So it's more like a beat 'em up with a weapon, I guess is what we could call hack and slash. So, but I'd read that it can get pretty difficult at times. Like if you're not concentrating, you can get whipped pretty quickly.
Yeah, like I'm on the Viking thing right now, and they are probably the hardest people that I've faced yet, just because they're huge. So, but
let's see. So there's Viking.
Right now there's Vikings,
Samurai,
and like knights, like warden type of, and I guess I started out as a like a night type of thing. So
Now in a single player, do you play like each era, or do you have like chapters for certain
yes, like
each of them, or?
yeah, you have chapters that were like you go and you try.
Because I'm
Like,
picturing this like like the WrestleMania showcase. I'm not it's a wrestling game, but where you play like certain chapters or eras of it. Is that how it is, or does it have a big overarching story for all of them?
it's kind of like it almost has a feel of like a mobile game.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Okay. I
like
get
you know
that.
where you have a map that you have to follow.
hmm
Like it's kind of like that. Like you have different quests, and then you branch off into like now I'm in the Viking area because I beat like the night area,
hmm
and now I'm in the Viking area, and I guess it sweeps back around into the same route. I don't know how it goes, but yeah, I mean it's pretty fun.
It's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's probably not a game for me. I've read some reviews, and I don't think it's for me. But I'm glad. It seems like everybody plays it has a pretty good time with it.
Yeah, I mean you have different like you have to you have to go out and look for different objectives. Like there's site objectives that you find, and then there's like smashable, I think is what they're called. And you have so many per level that you can go out and see and smash, and you get rewards for it.
Cool.
So and
I mean, it's not. I mean, it doesn't sound like It doesn't sound like Mass Effect Andromeda or anything like that. 10 out of 10 and stuff like that. But
I'd say it's a good solid for fun. It's a good solid 8, 7, 7.5.
that's good.
Just for some fun.
Joe dropping some numbers on us. Joe going on Metacritic on us.
I mean, for what I paid for it,
Oh yeah, you didn't pay much for it, did you?
I only paid for $40. I think Best Buy had it on sale.
Okay, I thought you got it for cheaper than that. That is a little bit, but you did get it on sale.
That was brand new.
When I say not much, I'm like $20. So
Well, for a brand new video game, $40 ain't that much.
that's true. That's true. Jared, what's up, man? It seems like we just talked the other day.
I think we did.
What have you been up to, man?
We got to go see Beauty and the Beast yesterday.
Oh, me too. We can talk about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thought it was really good. We also watched Arrival last night. I don't know if anybody else has seen it.
That's
Love
a
that
good
movie.
right?
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah, it is. Has a very weird twist to it, but I really enjoyed it. And I've been watching Iron Fist.
Let's talk about Iron Fist for a
What's
second.
the opinion of Iron Fist? Yeah, I'd like to know that too.
I haven't watched it. Now apparently online, Twitter was just. I mean, you think the internet broke in half or something. Iron Fist, everybody's like, "Oh, Iron Fist isn't good. The cuts are wrong. The action scenes are wrong. The guy's not Asian, which he's not supposed to be Asian, which is the whole point. Almost like it kind of takes away from the whole story of Danny Rand if he's Asian. Mine is that weird kind of thing. Jared, you said you really liked it. And usually, if you like it, then I like it. So, why are you differing against? Now, this is the internet, so you're differing against them. So you're automatically wrong. We'll let you know. Okay, you can't be right here.
I know. The first episode, I was automatically intrigued. And I know it got I think IGN gave it like a 6.5 or something like that. Some of them, a lot of other reviews were quite a bit lower. I watched the first episode. It really intrigued me. I think the acting's good in it. The action scenes, I don't really see anything wrong with them. There may have been a couple of them that, are kind of wonky or whatever. There might be some scene in there, but overall, I have no problem with it. I'm 5 episodes in. It keeps intriguing me. They keep adding more and more storylines, and it kind of continues somewhat Daredevil right at the end about the hands still being around. So I can see it leading into the Defenders, and so I'm enjoying it.
So let me ask you this. I mean, so here's what I've heard about it. One, they say they talk too much. So there's a lot of talking, which I don't know. I don't know. Okay, they talk too much. Okay, they talk too much. Too much characterization going on. And the other thing they said was like the cuts were too quick. Like there was some cuts where it was somebody kind of said like in one scene there was like 36 cuts or something. Like I read on Twitter, somebody said that. I mean, are you seeing any of that as far as the way it's cut, the way it's made?
No, none of that really bothers me. And the talking, it doesn't bother me either. I mean, I I like movies like that.
I do too. I love dialogue. So.
If you've ever watched a David Fincher movie or a Kevin Smith or something,
movie,
it's very dialogue heavy. I have no issues. I don't, I honestly don't know what all the backlash is. When it came out, I was like, I was excited about it, and then I saw a couple of reviews, and I was like, oh gosh. And then I just started watching that first episode, and it left enough question in there, kind of like every episode. They leave just a little bit more to drag you on to the next one.
So I like Iron Fist in the comics. Danny Rand's a pretty cool character. I remember reading when I was a kid. It was in the 90s, the Maximum Carnage saga, one of the greatest sagas ever made. Not really, but it is pretty fun to go back and read it now. Iron Fist was in that along with Captain America and a bunch of other. But Iron Fist was always one of these characters. I'm like, man, he's cool looking. Like, this guy is really awesome. He was very zen. He had the flaming fist, which was for the Iron Fist. That was really cool. And he just had a cool look to him. Like, he stood out in panels because he had his little slip-on booties. Which was really even. I was like, well, that looks like ballerina slippers. But hey, he's got a fiery fist. Do you think that you hit on something that maybe I was thinking as I was reading some reviews, is that you said it's a lot like Daredevil. At some point, these Marvel Street level guys, they all kind of have the same. I'm not saying they all have the same story, but their stories are very much surrounding the streets, the thugs, and then you bring in something like The Hand, which mixes it up a little bit. Do you think all these Marvel series is starting to get where they're almost kind of the same to a certain extent, just with different characters?
This one and Daredevil kind of go together. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage are kind of on a completely different level, I think. But somebody compared this to the Green Arrow.
Okay.
The way the show's made, you have this rich billionaire who comes back. Of course, he doesn't need all the tech that Oliver Queen does. So, I mean, but like he is out to stop the Hand in the city, which he ends up finding out, and like he wants to take his company and make it an honest company. You can kind of compare those things in there, but I don't understand the criticism. I really don't. Okay. People were talking about the character. They say he's not very good. I don't have a problem with him. He's just a very serious character. There's no jokes or anything coming from him as a lead. Some of the background characters, there's really not a lot of joking around, or you don't have that levity. Humor. Yeah, you don't have that humor in there at all. So I could see that as an issue for some people. But, I haven't fallen asleep in any of the episodes, so I think that's pretty good.
So you said it had no humor. Is the director's name Snyder Zach? Is that the
No. Luckily it's not, or everything would be much different. Yeah, but it's very Daredevil was always kind of, it's shot and it's very dark. Mm-hmm. Even during the daylight, it is kind of still dark.
You start to wonder, like, where's the sun in Hell's Kitchen?
Exactly. Hell's Kitchen is a very dark place. But in Iron Fist, I mean, there's a lot of things that are very brightly lit. When it's day, it's a very much contrast from the way that is in Daredevil. But, I guess with those two characters, you're almost getting the same type of character. Matt Murdock and Daredevil, there's not a whole lot of comedy in there. There is some in every episode, but there's not a lot. And there's virtually none in this. So,
and Iron Fist at this point, I mean, Luke Cage got a pretty good jump in when Bendis was writing New Avengers, and then people and then him and Jessica Jones had got together already and stuff like that, which, he had taken more of a prominent. Iron Fist really, I mean, I don't think there's a definitive story for Iron Fist. Like there's not one I could point to like, oh, it's a classic Iron Fist. And I know the Matt Fraction stuff is really good. I didn't get a chance to read a lot of that, but the character's awesome. I've only seen him in spots, but he's awesome in spots. So I know if somebody could really get a hold of him and do characters. Now, obviously, he's I don't even know what he was in even currently. Like he's just not a character. People know Daredevil. People know Luke Cage now. Iron Fist is still kind of this character not everybody knows. And I think that was the hurdle for this one, I think. And he is really similar to like, what they're doing with the Green Arrow or even a Bruce Wayne to a certain extent. We've seen this story kind of before. Yeah, and if you look at it, I mean, Daredevil, of course you do him first because you automatically have this huge character. Then you go into Jessica Jones, who not a lot of people knew, but but right off the bat, it was huge. And plus you get to introduce Luke Cage in it. So then that sets up the Luke Cage series. You had nothing to set up Iron Fist. I mean, besides him being in New York City, they didn't. I mean, they've connected it, but they haven't. In any of the other series, you didn't have anywhere to introduce this character. I think that kind of hurt it. I think that Iron Fist is kind of weirdly in the middle where you have like established guys. Like I know some people say, well, Luke Cage wasn't established. Yeah, well, Luke Cage was pretty much established at that point. Like, Mendez did wonders for Luke Cage as far as he was on the Avengers. That's all you kind of need to know. Like they at least knew him from the Avengers. But you have Daredevil, which has a very established history, and you can mess around with that just a little bit, but it's still a pretty fine line that you have to walk, or at least you have a nice, clear path. You got Jessica Jones that nobody really knows about very much. You can do whatever the heck you want with her, basically. And then you have Iron Fist, who has just enough history. Like he has just enough history that you can't completely change the character, but he's not known enough that you can, kind of get away with, this is Iron Fist. We can't change anything because he's not known enough to be super popular or people will know him just, flipping, oh, that's Iron Fist. I know him. Versus he has just enough history that if I mess this up, people's going to hate it that knows Iron Fist. And I think he's a really kind of a weird character because he doesn't really have a following, but he has a pretty established history. Just nobody really knows much about it. So at least a casual, let's just be quite honest. These are casual viewers. Not all of them are comic book viewers. Most of them watch Daredevil. I got a bunch of people at work that, knew of Daredevil, never read Daredevil comic and loves the show. So, it's more of a casual viewership too in there. So that's tough. It's tough.
I've been watching Jessica. I just finished Jessica Jones, and I just started Luke Cage. And I think that the fight scenes in Daredevil, like everybody wants those in these shows, but they're not gonna get them. Like that's what they're comparing them to. Like they're not gonna get these same fight scenes that you get from Daredevil in these other shows.
That's true, and I think Marvel's in a tough spot where they opened up. First 2 seasons, Daredevil was unbelievable. It's probably the best shows I've ever seen. And then you throw in these newer top characters and the whole Marvel, man. But this is what Daredevil was. I bet it'll be just different, the same with different characters. And you can't do that. Like you might as well just you can't clone a show and just put another character in there.
Which don't get me wrong, Jessica Jones was probably in its own story better than Daredevil in a way. Just because
it's not from what I understand, it wasn't like a superhero story. Like it's really different from a guy jumping around there, Hell's Kitchen in a jumpsuit.
Kill the main guy, the bad guy, Kilgraves, is just creepy. It made me uncomfortable watching it to a point because of the storyline. And then Luke Cage, I'm on episode 2 of it. And it's got another completely whole different storyline to it too. But Daredevil's automatically going to be the best one out of them because he's, like you said, he's a more well-established character. But
much richer history to play from.
Yeah. But with Jessica Jones, I give it a 10 out of 10. It was awesome. Luke Cage, I heard people say that the first 2 episodes was really slow. No, I wanted to keep watching it. Matter of fact, if I didn't check my email, I didn't know we had a podcast tonight. I would probably still be watching it right now. And then I hear all this bad talk about Iron Fist, but I just don't see how it can be that bad.
I think people know the character kind of give a little bit more leeway because I kind of know what to expect with it. Yeah. But again, he's just weird. He's a weird limbo character that you can't start completely over. but you can't assume everybody knows him. And I think that's just a weird character to have to do. So
I mean, it was a fat Iron Fist at your wedding.
that's true. You were a fat Iron Fist. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So Beauty and the Beast, right quick, and then we'll move on to some of our topics. We went and saw it this weekend too. It was awesome. It was really good. Not as good as a Jungle Book, but I liked it better than Cinderella. Jared, what'd you think about Beauty and the Beast?
No, I really enjoyed it. I like the way they tied some of the backstory together. They were able to add some of those pieces. Some of the parts that I didn't kind of like, I noticed some of the CG. It's like, oh, we're going to do a little bit of cutback on some of the CG. Like the Beast was walking away from her at one part, and they were kind of zooming out. And like the effects on his body, it just didn't look good. But then they zoomed up to like somewhere up on the castle, and like that CG looked amazing because like part of the castle was transforming or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was like, man, that looks great, but that just looked crappy just a second ago. Why don't you just spend, just a little bit more money? I know they can just print it basically right now.
Again, did Snyder Zach have anything to do with it?
But no, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was, they did a really good job with it. The only one thing I wish they would have done, I wish they'd have still had Angela Lansbury singing that one part.
I know. I was really surprised. I mean, I liked it. Was it Emma Thompson, right?
Oh, yeah, and she didn't do
really
a bad job.
But is Angela still alive?
She's 90.
Yes.
She just retired from theater, but they had her like a couple months ago on some talk show, and she just starts belting out the Beauty and the Beast song.
That's
awesome. I mean, she still got it. Why do you not let her? I know they want the characters to sing, but I'm like, yeah, that's such a classic right there.
I've got a few questions about the movie.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
Is it as tell as old a time?
Oh, gee. Yes.
Yes, Joe, it is.
True as it can be?
Yes.
Barely even friends?
Yeah, at the first. Yeah, sure.
Then somebody bends?
Well, let me back up. They're not even, I mean, they're basically, she's captive.
Yeah.
So it's not really, I mean, barely even friends is a little bit of an overstatement. But go ahead.
Then somebody bends?
Sure.
They both bend, yeah.
Was it unexpectedly?
Much more so. Let me touch on this right quick because I was talking to Sean about this, and the what makes pop culture so cool is you got all these studies and stuff on these things, and people talk about the the Stockholm syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, you see why she kind of falls in love with him a little bit more. Like in the cartoon, it's just like, oh, she saves him from the wolves or what? Spoiler for a 30-year-old movie or whatever. The original. How old is it? How old is 90?
91.
91. So, okay.
26 years.
26, almost 30. Okay, I was almost there. And then they kind of do the whole Disney animated thing where it's like, oh, awesome song, and let's do the Graduate thing where we, go 4 years in the future and they're all in love and all this stuff. In this one, I thought they spent more time in like showing the Beast personality.
So was it just a little change?
Gradually, yes, a little change gradually.
Small to say the least.
Yeah, I could say that.
Both a little scared.
Probably her more than him at more, most of the time. Yes.
Neither one prepared.
No.
Beauty and the Beast.
To fall in love.
Glad we got through that bit.
It only took him, what was it? I think a week at the most. Her dad had been missing for 5 days when they had tied him up. So, that's pretty quick to fall in love.
Well, it is, but at least they showed how. Like,
that's
he
true.
cracked jokes, and he was, his sweet side started coming out a little bit more. In the cartoon, it was just like, I'm the Beast, fall in love with me. Oh,
and it was Hermione Granger. Maybe she put a love potion on him, a love spell.
Yeah, I do like
crossover.
The part where he is eating his soup and he does stick his face in it.
Yeah.
I was like, I was kind of happy they did that because I always thought that was funny in the cartoon movie. But yeah, I really like the way they transition it to the screen. I don't understand all the hate on it. because it didn't get great reviews either for some reason.
I hadn't read any reviews for that.
It was getting like 6s, 6.5s. I was like,
it's made all kind of money.
Yeah, it's made
all
a
kinds
lot
of
of
money.
money.
That was always my favorite Disney movie.
You and about 12,000 million other people, Joe.
I'm just saying.
What's your favorite, Daniel? What's your favorite animated Disney movie?
My favorite Disney movie
Yeah,
is probably Aladdin.
Aladdin. Joe, you said Beauty and the Beast.
Space Jam.
That's not a Disney movie.
I know.
Beauty and the Beast, right?
Yeah, more likely, yeah.
Well, you just said it was.
Well, it's one of them. I mean, my favorite probably of all time is probably the Black Cauldron.
Okay, Black Cauldron. Okay, easy there, big fella. Jared, go ahead.
Robin Hood and the Sword and the Stone.
Darn, you stole my man. I love Robin Hood. I could watch Robin Hood all day long. I guess just the music and just the overall kind of. It's a really kind of relaxed kind of Disney movie, and it's really good, man. I really like it.
Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest. That just kicks off the movie. It kicks off the whole feel of the cartoon.
Yeah.
It's
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. Yeah. So, okay, cool. I just want to throw that out there. I don't think we've ever discussed that. We may have like a pure Disney episode.
I figured yours would be the three amigos, whatever. The three, oh my God.
Three Caballeros.
Yeah, Three Caballeros.
Yeah.
I love that movie too.
That's one of the hardest VHSs to find. Like we found one. So we have a pretty good collection of VHS. The last one we lack is the DuckTales movie. It was released right when like DVDs would get popular, but there are still VCRs on the market, so it's super hard to find.
Which DuckTales movie?
I guess there was a main one because it had the same case as the main Disney movies. There were some that were like just
the Legend of the Lost Lamp.
Yeah, maybe it's that one.
I mean, I've got that one.
You do have that one? I don't have that.
I've got the lamp one.
Yeah, I've got it on DVD. I mean, I don't have it VHS, but
I've got a VHS.
Yeah, I think it was the only one that was in the nice Disney cases, like the ones.
The clamshell case.
Yeah. So there was a bunch of them out there. I found out on eBay that had like the paper, just the regular paper covers. Those aren't the ones that I'm looking for. So
you can just cut that and put it in a clamshell.
Who are you talking to, Jared?
I know.
Like I could find the holy grail of a game, it'd be like it's not in the box. I don't want it.
You got to remember, Jared's one of these guys that's driving up my Laserdisc prices because he's just hanging them on a wall.
I just did that with one of them, Joe.
All right, man. So what have I been doing? I've been playing a lot of Zelda. I don't want to talk about it a whole bunch because I could talk about it all the time, but Zelda is an amazing achievement. The more I play that game, the more I'm like, every 10 out of 10 that it got, totally deserved. Like, when you see 10 out of 10, you're like, man, that ain't it. Somebody's just drinking the Nintendo Kool-Aid. They're fanboys, whatever. But that game was legit. Like it is a masterpiece of how to make a open world game that if you can imagine it and you can do it. Like there's things on that game that I'm like, I don't think I can do that. And I do. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I'll keep that in mind that I can do it. But the physics and everything, the discovery, I mean, it's just I could gush about it all the time, but I won't because it'll take the whole podcast up. But if you haven't played Zelda, if you want a reason to get the Switch, Zelda is a reason to get the Switch.
Is it the only reason?
Well, it is the only. Well, let me say this: it is the only reason to get the Switch because it's there's not much on there, but it is a game that you can play for a very, very long time and be totally content. Like I'm actually at this point. Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I mean, here's the point: is that a couple days ago I was over 15 hours. I'm probably near 25, 30 now at this point, and that's just me I've done like one mission or one story chapter, and that's pretty much it. One main story chapter. The rest of it's been me. Oh, hey, let's go over here. Oh, hey, let's go over here. Let's go to this shrine. Oh, cool. Look at this chest I found. It's pretty amazing what they've done with it. Go ahead, Daniel. Spew some hate, buddy. Spew some hate.
I'm just going to ask a question. I'm just wondering I mean, you're basically paying $350 for Zelda, for the Switch and the game. I mean, is it worth it?
Sure, it is. I know people on Twitter is like, oh, it's not worth it, but it is. It is an amazing achievement. It's good. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, I was skeptical. Yeah, I was skeptical. Like, I was like, oh, man, is it really worth this much money? But man, it's something else, man. It really is. It's something that I can honestly say that it's going to be mimicked. We'll just say that. There's going to be a lot of games that when I talk about Zelda, you're going to be, oh yeah, I've been playing this game. It does the same thing because Zelda did it first. And that's that's the curse of Nintendo, right? Is that they do motion controls, and then everybody else starts doing it. And then everybody wants to. They start tying in a tablet, and everybody else wants to do smartphone apps. And they're so far kind of ahead of the curve a little bit that people will look at Zelda and be like, "That's the next." Like we talk about Mass Effect. If Mass Effect becomes like Zelda, you'll know why. Because because it is that good of a game. It's that good of an achievement. So if anything, Nintendo has changed the gaming market a lot. And I think with this game, you'll see a lot of copycats. Now, whether or not it's super good or not, we'll see. But there's going to be a lot of copycats.
Yeah, Nintendo finally puts out an open world, and everybody just, Nintendo changed the whole gaming perspective.
Well, they did. I mean, listen, I know we're getting an argument about Skyrim versus Zelda, and I don't like. I'm not a big Skyrim guy. Okay, I've never played it. Don't care about it. Just don't. I mean, it's just not my game. But Zelda does things that even people that love Skyrim say it's not like that. Like Zelda kind of upped the ante. Like you could say they took Skyrim, and even the guy said he was like, I look at this Skyrim game and see what you can do all the way around and stuff. But he said there's limitations that we wanted to try to break. And they broke those limitations, and it makes it just an amazing game, like a step above anything else I've ever played.
Like what, you can climb a mountain?
Yeah, you can climb a mountain without having to. Apparently, from what I understand about Skyrim, you just kind of hop up a mountain. Like it's not even you can't climb up a mountain.
Let me tell you something. Human beings, what do they do when they go mountain climbing? They train, okay?
Yeah.
Not every mountain is supposed to be climbed, all right?
Well, not every mountain can be climbed until you get enough stamina to do it. So, Okay,
that's what mountain climbing.
It's awesome, man. Even the stuff like the stamina stuff that I thought I wouldn't like, I was like, man, that's annoying. I don't care. Like, it's awesome to find ways to say, I need to get up there. How can I get up there? Like, how can I get up there? And then you get up there. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah, so it's probably my game of the year so far, unless it's early. We got too many good games coming out, but it's early. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. Yeah, so I'll quit talking about it now because I'll talk about it forever if I keep talking about it. All right, so let's move on. So we've been into a lot of cool stuff. Jared, you got some pretty good topic. We'll start off with you. Jared, what's your topic for tonight?
All right, let me get it pulled up here. I'll make sure. Where's it at? Oh my gosh. Anyway, all right. So there's always that I feel, everybody's always got, their great list of great games. Best RPG, best sports games, all that stuff. But I was thinking the other day, because me and some other person were talking about Final Fantasy, and we were going through those games, and he's like, what's your favorite one in the series? And I automatically started, 7. And then I start thinking, and I'm like, there's a couple others that get overlooked, though, that I think might be just as good or pretty close up there. So my question to everybody was, what is, a game that gets overlooked as being, one of the best in the series or a best of the genre, in sports, RPG, action, if you have any other genres you want to throw out there to name one in, feel free to.
That's a loaded question.
But this is, and I don't want to argue. I mean, this is just one person's opinion because I automatically boom.
Listen, Jared, we're already arguing Skyrim versus Zelda, so let's just throw down, baby.
Ain't nobody ever mentioned Skyrim. You did, you little fat monkey.
Did you call him a bat monkey or a fat monkey?
A fat monkey.
A fat monkey. I jump around the rooftops as Bat Monkey.
Monkey Man.
All right, so one that's so obviously it's not like we want to look at ones that maybe are overlooked in the genre, right? Jared, is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, ones that automatically best for most people, best in the Final Fantasy series. They're gonna name Final Fantasy 7. You'll have, some diehards will automatically go 5 or 6.
6 is usually the only one that I hear other than 7.
Yeah, most of the time. But but there are other great ones out there that I think get overlooked. And I'm just naming Final Fantasy because there's the whole series of them. I think there are a ton of sports games that people forget about that were really great. So whatever couple games you want to throw out, feel free.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm about to throw this one out there, but you said older sports games. Online that there's still a community of people that play NHL in '94 because they said it's the best game that's ever been made.
A lot of people argue that, yeah.
Yep. NHL '94. I guess in our circles we can understand maybe that's why that's not under the radar because we talk about it a lot. You hear sports and sports game enthusiasts always name NHL '94, but you don't hear it mentioned as much anymore. So not until ESPN's like, oh, Jaromir Jagr was the last one to be in, and he's until he retires or whatever. Yeah, NHL '94 is definitely worth mentioning if you emulation or if you have a Sega Genesis or a Super Nintendo. Definitely, that's I have 2 copies of that. So.
No, I read an article where there's an online group that still plays it.
Yeah, just like Tecmo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start off with the hardest one. Let's start off with RPGs because RPG there's a lot of RPGs. I'm sure maybe all of us would have a different answer to this. Daniel, what in the RPG genre? What's one that you don't hear that you feel like really kind of makes the genre? Like Jerry said, what it really kind of best represents the genre, but it doesn't get asked about as much.
I guess I'm trying to think of games that are very good, but maybe aren't appreciated. Is that what we're going after?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I think the first game that came to my mind when I got your topic, I was thinking of Chrono Cross.
Yeah.
Which is the second in the series, the Chrono Trigger series, if you can call it the Chrono series, I guess. Chrono Trigger is still heralded as a classic game, as one of the best RPGs ever made. And Chrono Cross came out, a few years later on the PlayStation, and it's pretty much universally not liked or universally considered inferior, but there's a lot about that game that is very good. Even though the story's a little bit wonky, I think the gameplay itself is great. The characters are fun. The way the multiple ending system is fun. The way you can take characters in through a new game plus is very good. That one kind of comes to mind. I don't think that one gets as much appreciation as it deserves.
Yeah, it gets. It's mentioned a lot in the retro community as one that, like you said, it has its flaws, but definitely has a lot of things that were done differently that maybe even something like Final Fantasy VII didn't even do. Because if I'm not mistaken, that came out after Final Fantasy VII. It came out really close together with Final Fantasy VII. It was a year or maybe 8 months or something after 7 came out. So I have it. I've never played it. So definitely, I think I have it on my Vita too. So that may be something I crack into. But I've heard. It's the mixed bag with that game.
It came out alongside 8.
It's on 8. Okay, so that was okay. Gotcha. Okay,
99.
All right. So we got Chrono Cross. Actually, the third in that game. Actually, did you know there was a second a sequel to Chrono Trigger? I'll have to send you the information, but it was only released in Japan. It was like this really weird kind of visual novel thing. So I have to. I think it was on the Super Famicom. I'll have to, or maybe it was the PlayStation 1 over there. I can't remember. I have to find the information and send it to you. But I was, fell into a rabbit hole on a forum one time, and I was like, "Holy crap!" I didn't even know this existed. So yeah, it's actually the third one. So, Joe, RPG man, what RPG did you really like that you feel like didn't get enough pub? That defined the genre.
I don't know about that. I'm trying to think. Since I'm just not hearing these questions, is Fairy Tail, I guess, would be an RPG, right? Fairy Tales?
Yeah, for the
Came out on
PS3.
PS3. Yeah.
Action RPG. We'll go with that.
I always enjoyed it. And I think, no, I think that's what I'm gonna stick with.
Okay. Why'd you like it so much?
It's just not the story. That's a really good story, and I, I guess I like the gameplay too. To a point, I haven't played in such a long time, but I think the story is what really, made me go into it.
Is it Folklore? Is that the name of it?
Folklore. That's it. Folklore.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Now, I mean, there's so many like you say RPGs, but I mean like
Well, we'll just say let me define this because I think, and Jared, correct me if I'm wrong because this is your subject. This encompasses both like strategy RPGs,
Oh yeah.
RPGs, action RPGs. We're not breaking this down in like the heavy metal.
No.
You know,
You're not gonna have 80 different genres.
yeah, we're not going there. So don't send your hate mail and say, "Oh, that's not an RPG." Listen, if it has a great story, you gain up, you boost up your character, RPG kind of elements to it, then it's an RPG. So, so Joe, Folklore, Chrono Cross, Jared. Actually, I'll go since it's yours. Oh man, RPG. I want to throw out one, and it's not. This really shouldn't surprise anybody. Mega Man Legends, man. I mean, if you haven't played Mega Man Legends, Daniel's shaking his head because he's like, Mega Man Legends is a great action RPG. You gain, you boost up your weapons, you go out and hunt stuff, you talk to a bunch of NPCs. It's an action RPG, and it's great. I mean, it's an awesome game, one of my favorites of all time. I tweeted myself from the blog that said I did sob when Legends 3 was. I was actually going to buy a 3DS. I was like, what would make me buy a 3DS? Mega Man Legends 3 was going to, before I bought one years later. That was the game. I did sob uncontrollably when it was canceled. I was very upset. But yeah, Mega Man Legends 3, go pick it up. $25, $30. Not too much. It actually kind of went down a little bit in price. So $25, $30. Go buy you a PlayStation 1 for $20 or whatever and play Legends. So, hey, Daniel, why are you shaking your head, man? Why is it just because I mention it all the time, or?
Yeah, I just don't know why I was surprised. I don't know what I was expecting.
and just to be forewarned, you don't get the helmet, but you can get it later on. Okay, so if you don't want to play it because the helmet's not there, I'd actually had a buddy that, or a friend of mine that, he quit playing it because he didn't have the helmet. I was like, dude, you can, you do know you get the helmet, right? It doesn't matter. You don't start. It's on a Mega Man game. Oh, okay. Well, I just like you were the internet before the internet. What the heck, man?
I just like playing kick the can and getting in the trash can.
Oh yeah, kicking the can was awesome. And you got it did like a sound every time you hit it in the can. Yeah, it was awesome.
You get so much money.
This isn't selling this game, by the way. Just talk about how you like kicking the can. So that's. But the boss battles were big. You had big robots. You had the battle, and it had a really cool story to it. Really kind of goofy kind of story to it. So it's pretty cool. Jared,
one of my favorite PS1 games, Final Fantasy IX.
Okay.
Everything kind of went pretty modern. I mean, you had these futuristic cities and stuff in 7 and 8, and then you went back to 9, and you kind of went back to the medieval feel that the game started out with. But I really loved it. I really loved the characters, and they were kind of cartoony. You had the wizard that looked like Orko off of He-Man, so I really dug that too. But yeah, I enjoyed that. That was one of my favorite ones in the series.
Was I have not on my Vita. I've never played it, but did it differ a lot from what 7 and 8 were doing?
It was closer to 7 than 8 was.
Okay.
As far as gameplay.
And like the mechanics of like the magic and stuff, I'm guessing it was closer.
Yeah, it was pretty closer because 8, I found once you pick 8 up and play it, and go through it for a little bit, you're, doing pretty good. But just getting used to it. But I found that 9 was closer to 7 in that way, that you could probably just pick it up and play it easier.
Gotcha. Let's talk about sports for a second, because this is a genre that doesn't get, I guess, a lot of
Hardly any love.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, listen, there's probably been more sports game made than any other game genre across. I mean, there's just so many of them, especially when so many people had the licenses. Now it's not so much because EA pretty much owns everything. 2K makes the only NBA game. There's only 2 soccer games on in play, I guess, with Pro Evolution and FIFA. But when we were growing up, we had NHL 94 and, Hockey Night, ESPN Hockey Night. And, we had all these different hockey games and all these different football games.
Bo Jackson baseball.
Bo Jackson baseball.
Michael Jackson versus the Portland Blazers.
Yeah.
Or Michael Jordan.
Michael Jackson, man. I haven't heard that one, man. Is that some hack or something?
Was I the only one that had that game?
Moonwalking down the court.
I mean...
and then you had, stuff like, all the basketball games, all the baseball games and everything else. So this is an interesting one because I do feel like there's not a ton out there, but there's enough out there that as far as what we've enjoyed as we've grown up, because let's just be quite honest, we've probably played a lot of sports games, some really good ones, some really sucky ones to go with it. Joe, we'll start with you. What's a sports game that you've played that you're like, man, that it doesn't get enough pub, but it may be better than even something else in that same sport?
I really don't know, but I was thinking about something like this today when I was sitting in church before church was starting, and I was thinking about all the lock-ins that we used to have and how many hours that we would play in tournament mode, NBA Street.
Yes,
like
NBA Street was awesome.
Was that game that good, or was it just?
No, that game was that good. I think it was a great simulation between NBA Jam and like real life basketball. Like it didn't seem like it was super cartoony because you still had the technicality of hitting multiple buttons to do passes and get points and stuff. So it kind of built on it. It was nowhere near a simulation of basketball, but it was like it kind of added another layer to what NBA Jam kind of did.
I just remember being Mo Pete all the time. Like Mo Pete and Vince Carter, baby.
That game was really good. We used to play like crazy on that game.
But think about it, like probably the best sports game is Tiger Woods 2003, right? 03?
For the GameCube. We've talked about that here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was a really, really good golf game. So which one are you going with? Street or are you going with Tiger Woods?
No, I was just wondering if Street was really that good. Like in my mind, I remembered it be like super awesome. But then I was like, man, it can't be that good. I'm gonna have to
I didn't play the ones that the first one was really good. I actually really liked the first one, or at least I can remember. But I would have to say, Tiger Woods is a good one to go with because we played that game.
Tiger Woods is my answer. But I couldn't remember if in my mind I was remembering Street wrong as this awesome game, or if it was just like mediocre. And in my mind, I was like, man, this game was awesome because we played it all the time.
Tiger Woods, 2003, we played that game to death.
Yeah.
Like that stayed in that for a while. That was the only thing that we played on GameCube.
Well, it went on countless youth trips with us.
Yep, I got wave birds just so everybody could sit back and not have to worry about sitting too close to the TV because we used to play it all the time. I mean, it was an awesome game. Danny, what about you, man?
I can't think of one. I don't. As far as sports games go, the only sports games I played have been genuinely like well-received sports games. So,
okay.
I can't think of one that wouldn't have been hyped up enough.
Well, I mean, is there one like like we all play Madden? Is there one Madden you thought was better than the other one? Like just one that you thought maybe nobody really talked about, or maybe just you personally liked that year better than the other years? Or
well, I'll say this: the last year that EA had the baseball license, they made a great baseball game. MVP I think it was 2005. It's the one with
Manny Ramirez
Manny Ramirez on the cover. Yeah, so that was the last year that they had the license, and that's still. I'm sure I've talked about it on the podcast before, but that's still one of the best baseball games I've ever played, and I still play it on occasion. So, but I think that's like universally liked. So I don't know if that's the discussion.
Actually, mine's probably 2 baseball games, but it's weird because I can't stand baseball now. I just can't watch it. Like I just can't. Nothing. I know Daniel's a big baseball fan. I know Reed is a big baseball fan. I like watching it live. Our dad is me and Joe's dads are a huge baseball fan as well. He could watch it on TV all the time. But Triple Play 99 for the PlayStation 1. I actually one of the few sports ones that I actually have. that I still have in my collection. I bought it for like $1.99.
Is that the one with Sammy Sosa?
Alex Rodriguez. Sosa was the one after that. Yeah.
Okay.
Which I didn't like that version. Like I ended up renting it thinking, oh, I'll buy this. I like the last year's version and didn't like it at all. So I went back to 99. It had an awesome draft mode, like an awesome fantasy draft mode. Had a tournament mode. I remember I couldn't hit anything off of Deo Nomo because the animation, one thing, I mean, the reason people could hit off Nomo because when he did like this, you couldn't see the ball. Like the ball came out and you really couldn't track it till it was wrong. Same thing on this game. He'd pull his back. I'm like, oh crap. And I would kill people and I would have like 1-0 games or 2-1 games against Nomo, but I couldn't pitch with him because of that motion. Like it was like so weird to try to hit and pitch with. I remember it was Sosa actually, and I was against Nomo. It was bottom of the ninth. It was 0-0, and I'm nothing. Like I could not hit him, and he threw one. I finally jacked one in the top. I was like, "Yes, eat that, Nomo!" And that's like, "What are you doing?" I just hit a home run off of Deo Nomo, and he's like, "No, you didn't." And then there was, and Jared may remember this, but MVP baseball, not MVP baseball, NCAA baseball. I cannot remember what year is the last one on PlayStation 2. We played that. We would have youth lock-ins, and the Thomases, Paul and Jake, two of our good friends. We would play that for hours, and it was such an intuitive kind of fun. And you got the ping coming off the bat, and it was just a really good. If you didn't like baseball games, it was a really good game to kind of go with because it was actually really kind of easy to pick up and learn. But those two in particular, were the ones that I really liked.
Was that 06?
Might have been 06. Yeah, I had a Texas Longhorn guy on the front.
Yep,
that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, we played a bunch of that. But those two baseball games from the guy that doesn't like baseball are the two that, I like to throw some pub out there. I thought that they really did a really good job with the sport. Jerry, what about you in sports, man?
I've talked about this one before. Red Card Soccer on the PS2. I don't know what it is. I still look at it on eBay and try to find it.
Is it rare?
It is kind of rare.
A little bit uncommon.
It was. I'm trying to think. Like there were animations. You remember how Tecmo Super Bowl?
Yep.
The pass and you jump up and catch the pass. Or when you score a touchdown, it cut to an animation or whatever. But on this one, like you could, like there was a turbo button and you could turbo on your kick too. So you could do like the bicycle kick and kick it in the goal and do all kinds of stuff. And basically you played through different brackets. Like you would play through Asia and then you'd play all the teams around Asia. And like you'd pick the U.S. or whoever and play against all of them. And then after you got to them, you were upgraded to a harder group and you kept playing. And we used to play that game for hours. Nobody owned it. We just always rented it. But, man, we just play for hours and hours. And
Jared, was it PS1 or PS2?
PS2.
Okay. Yeah. It is a little bit expensive for like $15.
Yeah, for a sports game.
For a sports game, that's pretty expensive for that era.
I know, and sometimes it's just a disc for $15. I'm like, I want the case. I think Landon Donovan was on the cover.
No, it wasn't Donovan. I don't know who it is actually. It was.
Oh,
it was the other guy that played.
Okay, I remember.
What is his name? Eric something. It is Eric.
I remember Donovan. Like Donovan being one of him and the other guy, I can't remember his name. They were the two best players on there. But that was always fun. That and I don't know, whoever played Little League Baseball for the Nintendo.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That one was always really fun, too. But Red Card
That
Soccer,
was actually pretty or was it softball? Remember the softball game for NES? That was pretty rare. There's a softball game for the NES.
I never played it. I played the Little League Baseball. It was fun, but it was hard. You could blow through like one team, and then the next round you'd run up against somebody, and they just blow you out of the water.
Was it for Nintendo? Wasn't there something called like ice hockey?
Yes. Oh gosh, that was.
I used to sit there at work when I worked at Logisticare, and we had those emulators, and I'd sit there for hours because we'd be so slow to just play that game.
emulators. Gosh, days.
And then I'm surprised nobody mentioned Madden 01 because that was the last year that had the really good tournament mode on it.
Mm-hmm.
You could draft your own teams.
Those PS1 Madden games were pretty good. That was the only one I can really remember off of that one. Was 01.
And NCAA Game Breakers. I remember breaking a touchdown run, like a 70-yard touchdown run with Chris Winkie on you one time, and you got
that
so mad that you quit. What was
that? Wasn't on Game Breakers. That was on one of the NCAA games.
Dude, no, it can't be. Chris, I couldn't have broken it.
It was because they had the classic teams on that game.
I couldn't have broken it.
I'm the one you broke the run on. I'm the one who should remember it.
I thought it was Game Breaker. I give NCAA credit a little bit because it's
like an NCAA 03. I can't remember. It was one of the ones for the PS2. Maybe the first one they had for the PS2. I'm pretty sure.
I just don't believe it because I don't believe that NCAA would allow Chris Winkie to run a 70-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, you did. It was NCAA. I'm about 100% sure it's NCAA.
I thought it was Game Breaker.
Well, we'll just end this conversation now because we're not going to agree.
I know.
We can move on to another topic.
NASCAR 01, baby. Paintball cheat.
You already got him going, Jared.
I know. We shouldn't have started it.
It's like one of those rabbits you wind up and it gets stuck.
Sega Game Gear baseball game.
You mean World Series baseball?
Yep.
That was a pretty good one too.
That was a good one.
Let's move on. Next topic. My topic actually. And there was a lot more genres, and we'll probably go back to that, but we could probably do this all night long if we wanted to. But RPG sports. Let's do this one right quick. What about platformers or side scrollers? Like, there's a lot of those in the 16-bit era. Is there one in particular? Obviously, Mario. Games like Mario. Was there one in particular that you guys liked? Because they started kind of going away. PS1 kind of came along, and they kind of went away a little bit. They're not any there, but from Nintendo to Super Nintendo to Genesis, there's a lot of really good stuff in there. Was there one in particular, like platformer, that you really liked?
What was the slugs?
Metal Slug?
Metal Slug.
I'd count that, I guess. That's more of a running gun, but I can count that. Yeah.
What was the Contra?
Earthworm Jim. I know everybody, it was a really good game, and it didn't get, it got great reviews and everything, but, it was really good, and there were some hard levels in there.
Toe Jam.
The bosses and everything were tough in that game, but they did some really cool stuff with like the backgrounds and stuff that I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
Some of those boss battles were pretty cool. Just him being able to whip his head out of his suit and smack somebody with it was pretty cool.
The original the Spider-Man game on the Sega Genesis, the first one that came out.
You like that one?
Oh man, we were play that one for hours.
But you need to go back and play that.
Oh, one. I know it doesn't hold up.
It's really bad.
Oh man.
If you took too many
your childhood or anything, Jared.
Oh no,
really bad.
I can picture it in my mind that it being bad about like the X-Men game for the Sega.
That was good. Mm-hmm.
Well,
the second one was good. I'm sorry, I should say that.
Well,
preference that.
If you play it and you go through and you get to Mojo, you have to lose to him and then play through the game again. Because if you don't, you can't beat Apocalypse at the end. It was really weird. I'm like, that's like a God, what's that game?
No, it's like
Ghost and Goblins, where you have to beat it and then you have to play through again to get the real ending.
What about the Batman game in Nintendo? For Nintendo,
that was a good one.
I was thinking about that one. Yeah, I like the Batman game.
Super hard. The Wolverine game.
Dude, well, that's not a platformer. That's more like a third-person type of game. But the other one you mentioned was
which Wolverine game are you thinking about?
Are you talking about the NES one, or the one for GameCube?
No, I'm talking about like the Nintendo one.
Oh, okay, yeah, that one counts.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I wasn't talking about the one for the GameCube.
Or about one for Sega, and actually came out for Super Nintendo under a different name, was Rocket Knight Adventures. I don't know if you guys were. That one's really, really good. Kind of a not hidden gem because in the retro circles, everybody kind of knows it's really good. But really cool game. Like he was like a possum, and you had a jetpack, and you could jet around everywhere, or you could jump, and basically, it's, just a really good, well done platform game. One of the better looking Genesis games. Just a really good looking Genesis game, which some Genesis games really did. Even the good ones really didn't look super great. But that one, big sprites, like the enemies were big, and your hero was big, and it was really cool on those. So this is a good one. Daniel, what about you, man? What any platformers that kind of?
That's what I'm going through. I'm not finding anything. Of course, I'm going online to see if I can get any ideas, but I was never a big platform player, so I can't really think of anything that would add to the discussion.
Hey, go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say, would American Gladiators for Nintendo be a platformer?
I don't know if it was a pure platformer or not. It had a lot of things going on for it.
The game no one could ever beat.
I beat it a couple times.
Chad, don't lie, man.
I swear. Oh my god.
Man, me and Joe played that game for hours, and then we just could not. That game's hard.
And that X-Men game for Nintendo.
Oh, that game was just terrible.
That
game was really bad.
There was one game that I really liked. I don't even remember the name of it, but you were a caveman with a skateboard.
That was Super Adventure Island, wasn't it?
Adventure
Island.
I remember playing it on the Nintendo for hours.
You want to see a convoluted history of a game? Convoluted, convoluted, whatever.
Aaron's making up words now.
Hey, listen, I'm the guy. See, I can make up words. Hey, this is Aaron. What is AP style? This is AC style. Okay, I can make whatever word I want. It was that actually started out on the Genesis as Monster Boy or something like that. I can't remember. And then the Nintendo stuff played into that. There's an episode of Retronauts out there that you need to listen to. It's like 2.5 hours long, trying to explain the order of which these kind of came out. I didn't even know they were part of it, but yeah, that's a real good game. Actually, it's Super Adventure Island is really good too. The one for the Super Nintendo. Yeah, really good game.
Good boy.
There's one called Sky Blazer. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that one, but really good. Awesome game, really hard game, but really fun game as far as just the mechanics and stuff. It's one that's not mentioned. It's mentioned a lot like hidden gem lists, but not a lot of people know about it as much. So that one I always thought was a great platformer. It just did some really cool stuff with like Mode 7 graphics and stuff that I thought was really cool. But
hey, wasn't there like an airplane game for Nintendo 1942? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, that'd be more of a shooter, a shmup.
What was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good conversation. Those are I think are the key genres, because those are the genres that have like the subgenres, that people kind of go on. But good topic, Jared. So let's move on to my topic. This will be the last topic of the night, unless Daniel's got something. I don't know if Joe had anything or not, but
that was left off the text message.
I sent it to the wrong thread. Okay, I thought I was sending it to you.
I never really came up with a topic. I like your all's topic, so I'm
okay. Okay. So this topic, I've talked about my like geeky foundations, what made me a geek through, as far as the properties and games and stuff that I can remember playing that I really got into, not just the actual action figure or the actual TV show, but just like the whole mythology around it, and became some of my favorite characters and stories. So mine would be Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, Mega Man, and Spider-Man. That's my foundation as far as still today I really, really enjoy kind of following. I've talked enough about that for me, but I don't think I've ever asked you guys that. And obviously on a site and a podcast that kind of revolves around geeky stuff, definitely want to kind of let you guys kind of introduce your geeky foundation that, caused you to get into a lot of this stuff. So, Daniel, we'll start with you. What is your kind of geeky foundation? What are some things that you can remember back when you was little, just kind of building and you're still interested in today? It kind of makes you a geek.
Okay, so I might have misunderstood the question.
Okay.
But mine's not like a character or anything. It's like an actual person. that
Okay. No, that's fine. No, you can do whatever. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
All right. I don't want to break the rules of your question. All right. My geeky foundation starts with my brother, and he's 9 years older than me. So he was by the time I was old enough to like actually interact with him regularly. He was already 15. He was in high school or ready to be there. But he was a big Star Wars fan, and he got me into Star Wars. We would rent. I remember we would rent those movies all the time and rewatch them. And he got me into action figures and collecting Star Wars figures. He was also he loves strategy games and I remember watching him for hours just play like the original Final Fantasy. I can remember watching him play Final Fantasy VI for hours, and I didn't even know what was going on, but I would just watch him, just watch him play. He was into a tactical game. It was Romance of the Three Kingdoms, but it was like one of the first ones on. It was one of the first ones on NES, and I would watch him play for hours. No idea what was going on.
Well, that game's kind of fair because really, I don't know what's going on either.
Yeah, I was probably like
some kind of historical stuff going on, but other than that,
I was less than 10, so I didn't know what was going on. But he like looking back, a lot of the things that he was into when I was growing up are the things that I've kind of grown into. Like the Star Wars, like these long, sprawling RPGs, like tactical strategic games. So he really set me up as the basis of my geekiness. And now I've sort of surpassed him now. but
I have become the master.
Exactly. But looking back, pretty much anything that is geeky in my life is probably started with him. So
that's cool. I think we can all say at least maybe one or two family members. Like I can say, me and Joe can probably look back at our mom. Our mom was always into kind of the geeky stuff and get into TV shows that, for people that don't know, we're pastors' kids. So sometimes the church boycotts some weird stuff like Ninja Turtles at times, which is really weird. Our mom was like, "What are you guys talking about? Like it's Ninja Turtles." And so she allowed us to watch a lot of stuff that some people frowned on as far as just like cartoons that people would take different ways and whatnot, and really kind of helped me there. But yeah, man, that's a cool story. I think we can all say that. He probably comes over and watches you play video games for hours now, right? Is that what?
Well, I remember I could tell when the tide had turned when I helped him through a boss fight. He was he was going crazy with a boss fight that he couldn't beat, and of course I'd already beat the game, and I helped him through a final boss fight.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Bow to me now, brother."
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. Joe, what about you, man?
I'd say the top thing. Well, I wouldn't say top thing, but one thing would be renting the old wrestling movies. When we were kids and having like everybody over and watching them. Thought that was really cool. That helped me out. And then probably sitting upstairs for hours in Annie and Papa's upstairs bedroom in Kentucky playing Nintendo, just trying, Mega Man, trying to beat Mega Man, trying to beat whatever you could beat. Playing the first level of that stupid Batman game for 3 hours trying to beat it, that kind of turned me into a game fanatic. And I guess musical wise, like the first time, maybe I ever heard Miles Davis play Nana Bose or big band music at Nana Bose, that turned me into the musical. I don't even know what geek I guess I am today. So I guess those are the three main ones, and then probably our Saturday afternoon trips or Saturday morning trips to the comic book store, Big Stone.
Yeah, we used to go almost every Saturday.
And then once it shut down, the dude at Video Magic would have all these cool action figures. We'd always ask him where he got them, and then finally we talked Dad into taking us to Cavalier and Wise so we could buy those wrestling action figures, the really good ones. Yeah, it was pretty
liked
cool.
them all, but we bought a Buff Bagwell, which wasn't,
Yeah.
Probably wasn't the smartest choice by either.
Hey, he came out. Didn't he come out in like a wheelchair? He had a wheelchair with him. Brace.
No, that was the Giant. Remember the Giant had the neck brace because they put one out right after Kevin Nash almost broke his neck, power bombing him.
No, I swear it was Buff Bagwell. Buff came out with a neck brace and a wheelchair.
Not the action figure, didn't.
Yeah, I swear he did.
Boy, what is this to call your argument, Tom?
I swear he did, dude.
Yeah, I don't think he did. I'll let you believe that. I'll live in my reality and say it.
And Goldberg came out with the little funky looking Rey Mysterio guy with the extendable neck.
I remember that. That was right. No, that one didn't have extendable neck. The one that came with Big Show had the extendable neck because you could put the neck inside his hand.
Okay.
All right, let's move on.
Buff Bagwell came out with a wheelchair.
Jared, what about you, man? What was kind of your foundation?
Well, it all started with He-Man. About 3 or 4 years old, I had a He-Man sword, and I used to wear it everywhere. I wouldn't take it out of the back of my shirt. People had even asked my mom if I had something wrong with my back because they thought it was a back brace. So I guess it starts there, and that's the one, or not the only thing, but that's one of the big things that I still hold on to. I've got the complete cartoon, the first cartoon series, and then I've got the 2002 relaunch, and I've got all the comics. I don't have the original Marvel or DC series, but the ones they re-released in the 2000s, I've got all those comics. And then I would say wrestling. Like we said earlier, this marks 30 years this year for watching wrestling. But every pay-per-view or every tape that Ball's video or Star Video had, I'd watched them all. With the Crockett Cups, I used to sit at my grandparents' house, and if it was one I'd never seen, me and my grandfather, it was the Crockett Cup, and I'd sit there and he'd be like, "Who you got this one?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I got these people to win," and he'd take somebody. And by then I'd learned that going through a tournament, even though I still thought it was real, I was like, well, this person's going to win because there's a face team winning here. They've got to have heels to face.
Jared already cracking the code.
I know, exactly.
Wise beyond your years.
Maybe. But I still kind of go back to those two things. And then I had a Commodore 64 growing up. And I remember playing games. You couldn't get anything else, or some games that were on the Commodore, but there was a Rambo game on there, and oh my gosh, I can't even remember. We had like the Summer Olympics or Summer Games, 2 versions of it, a couple versions of Winter Games, California game, just stuff like that I would just play for hours and hours. And some of the stuff I still wish I had. I know they make ROMs of it, but the Commodore's ridiculously hard to get the ROMs for, or to get a good emulator that works. So that may be where my gaming started. And then I bought a Nintendo off my uncle right after they came out for like $40 because they didn't like it.
Oh wow, that's a deal.
Yeah, I mean you're probably looking 4 or 5 then. I was probably 5. So I was in kindergarten when I got a Nintendo.
Jared, how'd you get $40 in kindergarten?
Probably birthday money.
Okay. I thought you was like beating kids up for their lunch money.
Yeah, that's what it was. But
he's like, listen, I watched the Crockett Cup. I know who wins and loses here, okay?
hey guys, I bet you $20 I can chug 4 milks.
I don't drink milk, Joe. Yeah, I don't game as much, but still like the old games still have a special place.
I think the cool thing about I think we all kind of grew up in the same era, so we all have a lot of the same. I was never big. I don't remember watching He-Man a lot as far as a cartoon, but I was big into the toys, and I had the same sword that I would put in. I didn't wear it everywhere that I went, but I did play an awful lot.
That's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be He-Man.
My dad had a lot of lumps on his head because I'd wake him up asking for oatmeal, hitting him with the He-Man sword and stuff like that. So, Jared, is it true that when you asked Robin to marry you, that you took the sword out of your back and laid it at her feet? Is that how you proposed to?
That would have been cool.
Hey,
the only time he got took out.
He-Man also caused him to do his first felony too.
I did. I stole He-Man toys.
I remember from your neighbor.
The thing about it is that listen to this. Now, imagine this. Okay, we lived on a military base, so most of the houses you could get to, like you had one row of houses, and then right directly behind them, you had kind of like a field type of separation, and you had the other house. Well, I was playing in the field one day, and I ran up to that fence. We was playing tag or something there, and all the fences had at least a couple holes that you kind of look through. So you kind of look through a hole, and this kid had every toy imaginable. Like it was almost like Toys R Us vomited in his backyard. And it was just he had everything, but the most he had was He-Man toys, and he had like the Grayskull Castle. He had all the vehicles. He had all the. I mean, I was like, holy crap! So everybody kind of went home, and I kind of lingered around a little bit, and so I kind of opened the door. Nobody was around, so I kind of opened all of them had fenced-in yards, so you just had to undo the thing. You could lock it from the inside because you had a door, back door that could go out into it. Well, they left it unlocked, so I opened the door.
So it was free for the taking.
So I opened it up, and I just had like a handful of stuff. And the thing about it is, I didn't steal it per se. I was going to give it back, okay? But I really was, because I wasn't acting like I can remember when. I remember when I took it, it wasn't like I was sneaking around. It was just like, oh, I'll take this. I'll just take that because I was planning on bringing it back.
Take.
Yeah, well, I took that. Listen, I stole it, okay, but it was well intentioned, okay. It had no malicious intent behind it, okay. So I had a whole arm. I had the castle and had all this, and I almost went back for seconds, okay, because there was so much there.
Aaron, listen, as your attorney, I need to advise you to stop talking in the podcast now. Do not publish this podcast.
So I almost went back for a second. I was like, this is enough. So I was playing on the porch and wide open. Like I wasn't trying to hide it. So I was playing with him. I heard my mom come. Well, the first reaction was, I got to hide this stuff.
Yeah, because you stole it.
I know. That was the first. I was like, I think I stole this stuff, right? So I kind of scooped everything up and kind of we had garbage cans. And so I scooped the garbage cans out and I pushed them all back up behind the garbage cans. And obviously it's noticeable because the garbage cans went straight up against the wall. So when I pushed it up, it was like this huge gap that you couldn't hide anything in that gap. I mean, it was like, oh, well, what is this, So in the middle of trying to put everything in, Mom comes around the corner. She goes, Aaron, what are you doing? And I said, nothing. Just fixing the trash cans. Nothing here. And obviously, you could see Castle Grayskull like sticking out from the from the gap.
You stole the most expensive toy.
I know. I couldn't help myself. I was a terrible person. So she saw. She goes, Aaron, where'd you get those toys at? And I said, I just borrowed them from someone. And she said, where did you borrow them at? And that's when I told her. I was like, well, it's in that backyard. And I just kind of wanted to bring them over here to play. She said, so you stole them? And I was like, what, 5 maybe? And I was like, no, I didn't. I was going to bring them back. I was just borrowing them, And so she made me get all of them and gather them up. And I knocked on the woman's door. She was super nice. And she said, oh, honey, he's got too many toys anyway. It's okay. It's a nice older woman. And I was like, oh, cool. Then I can take them back to my house. It's obviously not a big deal. But she's like, no. You got to go. Mom maybe put them back. And I remember, she said, now I'm going to have to tell your dad. My dad whipped me and said, hey, this is why you're getting whipped, because you stole. This is stealing. And, of course, when I realized I stole, I was a kid that once I realized did something wrong, I was like, I was like, just lock me up, man. Just lock me up. I don't deserve to live in society, And but, yeah, I stole He-Man toys, so. What can I say?
And your hamster paid for it 2 years later.
I do want to issue an apology to Joe. Apparently, Buff Bagwell did come with a wheelchair. So apologies to to
Thank
Joe.
you.
Everything else we argued tonight, I was right. So 3 versus 1. I mean, I think I made
All
out
right.
made out pretty good there. All right, so yeah, so that's cool. You guys never talked about that, and I know that I tend to throw mine out there a lot, and wanted to kind of give you guys a shot to. Everybody's got a foundation for something, whether it be sports or toys or whatever that we're into,
Makeup.
games, music. So just throwing it out there as far as what made you kind of the geek that you are, though.
Can I throw my other question out real quick? I don't think
Sure.
it'll take long. Something that we've hardly ever talked about is food. I'm sure we're all.
Let me tell you guys are
I know.
experts on food.
I know several people are big fans of it.
I hate
But
it.
if you could prepare or have one last meal prepared for you, what would be your ultimate meal? I mean, like if I'm sure everybody's got a dish that their grandmother made, or something like that. That if you could combine several of them to just one ultimate meal, what would it be?
Oh man, it'd be my wife's mashed potatoes. Would be the first thing. I think she makes the best mashed potatoes on the planet. Cheddar spinach dip would be the other one because I love cheddar spinach dip. And then an open-faced turkey sandwich with gravy from Shannon's. There's a restaurant used to be around here. It's not here anymore. But man, that open-faced turkey sandwich was so good. And a side of okra and a sweet tea. That would be what would be my meal.
Did they come with gravy on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I would do, they put the mashed potatoes in the middle, and then they put the open-faced sandwich, and then I just be like, push all the all the potatoes and stuff, and then gravy. Oh, it's awesome, man.
Yep.
I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Shannon doesn't exist anymore, so I'm out of luck. What about you, Daniel?
Mine would be pretty easy for you, Aaron. But most people don't. But my mom is Cuban, and so like my whole side of my family is Cuban and was born in Cuba. So a lot of my favorite meals are Cuban meals. But if I had a number one meal, it would be black beans and rice, which is a traditional Cuban side. It's like the potato; it goes with everything. You put it on every plate. I would have fried plantains, which is another Cuban thing, and then I would have probably a fillet, like a nice medium fillet, and top it off with my wife's peach cobbler.
There you go. What's a plantain?
A plantain is a type of banana.
Oh, okay.
It's like a banana, except it's bigger. And what you do is you slice it into like silver dollar size, and you fry them. And so I
thought I heard that, and I think it was on Chopped. They was in one of the baskets. I think it's what.
That's what it is. It's excellent.
Joe, what are you laughing at? Go ahead, Joe.
Because that question, what's a plantain? Reminded me of the time we went to see Demon Hunter and all of those people we went to see. And we passed a cornfield that just barely started growing. And convinced you it was a pineapple field, and he thought it was a pineapple field the whole time.
It kind of looked like a pineapple field. I've never seen a pineapple field, but I would imagine that it would look like that's what it would look like. So,
for me, what would I have? Oh man, I'd have too much. I'm trying to break it down. I'd have me for an appetizer. I'd have Dad's SOS. Chip ham gravy with toast as an appetizer. I know it don't sound too fancy, but it brings back childhood memories.
And it also tastes good. It's not something bad. It actually tastes good.
Then, as I guess my main course, I'd have me a nice, big, juicy, best cut you can find filet, rare, with a big piece of foie gras on top. And then I would have lobster and crab legs. No crab legs. Crab legs are too much. They're too busy. Yeah, it takes too long to eat them.
Too much work, man.
Too much work. Yeah.
That's why I want
That's
all my
lobster.
chicken like boneless. Like who? I don't want to
Yeah.
have to get rid of that bone. That's
And that's
too much
that's
work.
lobster tail. Probably
Okay.
served with Dad's homemade mac and cheese
Mhm.
and Nanny's chicken and dumplings.
There you go.
And then for dessert, I would have me a pear cobbler with vanilla ice cream on top. And for drinks, I would have sweet tea.
Nice. I can't think of a good dessert that I would. I mean, I'm sure there's something I could throw in there, but I can't think of a dessert. I'm not a big dessert guy, so I guess.
Oh my, really? No, you're not a big dessert guy, but you eat fudge rounds all the time. So
That's it. Fudge rounds and milk. Yes, give me a box of fudge rounds and a gallon of milk for dessert.
And a peanut butter milkshake.
And a peanut butter milkshake. All together. Hey, no joke. And Daniel can back me up. There was a time when we was working on the newspaper together, and like for a 3 week straight, I would walk in with a peanut butter milkshake. And like I'm not talking about the small ones. I'm talking like the big Hardee's ones, right, or wherever I was getting it at the time. I can't remember where I was getting it. And every day I'd walk in with and finally McGill was like, "Where do you get these milkshakes?" And I was like, "I didn't even know peanut butter milkshake existed." You know, I was like, "What? You want to taste?"
I remember.
But it was.
I remember for a while we had a. I was keeping us stocked with little Debbie cakes, and we were keeping fudge rounds and like other things in there like all the time.
Yep. And then I introduced you guys to the pizza sandwich. No, all it was just putting two pizza.
I don't remember that
together. And McGill was like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's a pizza sandwich. Haven't you ever had a pizza sandwich?" And he's like, "No." I was like, "Try the pizza sandwich."
Like if there was a world fudge round eating contest, he would win it. I've seen this man eat like 4 boxes of fudge rounds in one setting.
No,
like not just a regular fudge round. We're talking about like an extra large fudge round.
I didn't eat it in one setting.
Oh, dude, I
spread that out over a couple of days, but not one setting.
Okay, I'll give you a day.
Oh, thanks.
24-hour period.
All right.
Jared didn't answer.
Oh yeah, Jared, go ahead. I'm sorry. This is your question. I didn't let you answer it.
I would have my grandmother on my mom's side. I would have her sausage biscuits with tomato.
Oh, not tomato, but sausage biscuits sounds good.
And then I would my dad's mom. I would want her dumplings and dressing. And that would be an ultimate meal with either some sort of German chocolate cake or carrot cake for dessert, and probably a peach sweet tea.
That was probably my favorite. Like my favorite memory going over to your grandmother's house.
The biscuits.
Oh
man,
my god, man!
They're so good. Robin can come pretty close to making them. They're just hers are fluffy. My grandmother's were flat, and
You notice how serious we get when we talk about food?
There's no joking.
No joking around about food, man. It's just like respect. We talk about food is respect,
Yeah.
Jared, are you more of a dumpling guy? As far as like chicken, like when my grandmother makes chicken dumplings for me, it's mostly dumplings. Cause I like the dumplings better. Are you more of a dumpling guy?
My grandmother, when she makes them, she makes really thin dumplings, so that they're not doughy on the inside. But she always made them out of her turkey broth on Christmas, and that's the way I like. She would. I don't think she put any turkey in there, but I mean she made good chicken and dumplings too. But the ones on Christmas, I don't know if it was because it had that turkey broth or whatever it was, but they always tasted different. But really thin, and then I would mix my turkey and my dressing up in them too.
Right.
Good
stuff.
See, chicken and dumplings are supposed to be chicken separate, and then your dumplings. You're supposed to add the chicken as you please.
Yeah.
But most people just add the chicken in it and cook it all together. But that's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, dumplings are great. Dumplings are overrated, or not overrated, but underrated. Dumplings are definitely underrated.
It's biscuit and gravy soup.
I know. What's I know. I guess all you really have to say is biscuits and gravy soup for dumplings, and you're there. So, all right, man. So that was a good subject tonight, guys. Thank you for taking the time out to talk and just have a good time. That's what we do here on the podcast. I hope it comes across to the listeners. Very rarely are we prepared for these podcasts as far as that goes, but we just like to talk about anything. You put us all in the same room without a microphone or anything in front of us, and this is exactly what we would talk about. So I appreciate you guys taking the time out. It's always good to get together with friends and discuss stuff. And we miss Andrew tonight, so hopefully he'll be back next week. But yeah, anybody got any closing remarks or anything? Or
Yeah, I probably gonna get some hate, let's say, for Agua because it's so friendly, but I don't care. It's my
what
last
is it?
meal. And so what they do is it's duck liver or geese liver, and they just stuff it with it just continues to feed it like acorns, and it gets all nice and fatty. It's like meat butter. It's delicious. But all they do is they keep stuffing them in it, and they die because they eat so much.
So you're afraid?
So it's really inhumane. It's really inhumane. Most of the states in the United States won't let you do it. They don't serve it. So, but it's delicious. And I have to say, there is a guy in Spain I would want to eat his because his is humane. So you can cook that guy up in Spain. I can't think of his name, but he was on a TED Talk. So give me that for Agua so y'all won't kill me. Okay, all right. Peace, bye.
If anybody listens to the wrestling podcast, they'll hear Joe's Mr. Fuji stories. But on Stone Cold Unleashed podcast with Paul Roma, there are even more Mr. Fuji stories on there, and he kind of explains why everybody was kind of afraid of him and respected him so much. So if you listen to that and get kind of curious, you might want to check that out.
Yeah, nothing from here. Jared will have a Hall of Fame piece up next week as we get ready for WrestleMania. I'm not going to promise anything because I don't think it's going to get done at this point, but Jared will have a Hall of Fame set up, and hopefully we'll have something to go with as well. So something else up. But that wrestling podcast should already be up. It should supposed to been up before this one is. And just a correction on one of the names. Jared, it is Maurice, not Marseille. So I did want to correct that before somebody, if you listen to the wrestling podcast, it is Maurice apparently. Or Maurice, I guess I should say. That's it. So don't forget to visit the blog, monstersofgeek.com. Go check us out. There's a lot of cool stuff up there. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Spreaker and iTunes and Stitcher if you like podcasts, or if this is your first episode and you want to keep up with us, then yeah, definitely go subscribe. But other than that, thank you to Daniel, Yeti, and Jared for taking some time out to talk tonight. And for episode number 39, this is your editor-in-chief, Aaron, and we are out.